Well, overall, I think people often have a misunderstanding about the entire concept of progressive overload, right? So the idea that as you adapt to a particular stressor, as you get fitter, that basically training needs to stay challenging so that you can continue to adapt. And I think people misinterpret that and they think that means they need to put more weight on the bar every week or they need to run further every week, et cetera. But it really simply means that training has to remain challenging. And that's all there is to it. It doesn't mean that you have to always progress some particular factor. It doesn't mean you have to always add volume or add weight or whatever. It just means that based on the fitness level that you have, is your training program continuing to challenge you in some way? And when you think about a lot of adaptations like aerobic fitness, for example, or hypertrophy, those adaptations happen very slowly. You're not gaining 10 pounds of muscle between now and next month. It'd be great if we could, just not going to happen. Same thing with aerobic fitness. If your VO2 max is 60 right now, it's probably going to be 60 plus or minus a couple of points for a long time. It's probably not going to be 70 by next month. So when you account for that and you think, okay, a lot of these fitness adaptations are changing very, very slowly, I shouldn't expect my training to have to change all that much either to continue to challenge me. But people will have this idea of, progressive overload in their head and they're like, well, I need to put more weight on the bar. Or I ran 30 miles last week, I'm going to run 35 this week. And they just continue to push and push and push despite the actual fitness changing extremely slowly. And they just inevitably push to a breaking point where they either need some sort of extended deload or back off period or whatever. It probably wouldn't have been needed in the first place if they just realized my fitness is moving very slowly, so my training probably should too. So when you get that training plan dialed in to a point where you're like, okay, I feel good, I'm making progress, don't change it. Just stay there for a while. You might see some subtle improvements. You might add some weight here and there or whatever. But by and large, when you find that training program that's working for you and is allowing you to manage your fatigue successfully, don't try to change it too much. Just run with it for a long time. Because if you have that mindset of, excessive progressive overload where you're constantly adding and adding and adding, you will reach that breaking point.